Hi, my name is Tricia Blum, and I am the Vice President of Business Consulting at Charter School Capital. Prior to joining Charter School Capital 4 years ago, I ran a 5-campus charter school in Southern California where I live. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about growth. We've all recently received 3 sets or groups of funding from ESSER. There's the CARES Act, ESSER 2, and ESSER 3. For many schools, this has turned out to be, 20 or 30% of their annual reserves. And they're wondering what ways they can spend money to help increase education for their students and build sanctuary at their schools. And today I'd like to talk a little bit about how you might use some of those funds to grow. And the reason that you want to grow possibly, there are many, many reasons, is because you want to be able to continue to provide students that you teach with an incredible teaching experience and to add services for those students. So let's talk a little bit about growth, understanding that each state has its own guidelines about ESSER. Many states it's reimbursable, and there are some restrictions to how you can spend that. But as we all know, funding is fungible and can be moved around and replaced. So if you have questions about that, give us a call and I'll talk to you a little bit about how you can do that. Let's focus on growth. So I always start with, does growth fit your mission, right? Are you a school that actually has a mission such that you can grow? And I should step back and say, we're talking about growth in a couple of different ways, at least. One is to continue to increase your enrollment at your current facility. The other is to move to another facility. For many schools, moving to another facility is essentially finding their forever home. Often we start in church basements and strip malls out here in California. So finding your forever home is another type of growth. Another idea about growth is to add some services that you've always wanted to add and haven't had the opportunity to. So that's how this funding can actually help you do those things. So does your growth align with what your mission is? I think that's always important when you're trying to figure out if you should grow or not. Knowing your why. For those of you that are running schools that are stable and mature schools and been around for a while, sometimes we inadvertently get away from our why, which is our mission statement. And it's important to go back and focus on your why, make sure that you're still working within those values, or to pivot and change your why so that you can serve your students effectively. We can spend a whole video talking about your why. But I want you, as you're starting out and deciding if you want to grow or not, to think about your mission and your why. Planning for growth. I think a lot of schools just take an opportunity and go, we're going to grow because we love this facility, without really looking at the plan. And the plan is incredibly important. And in short, it should be written. It should include the authorizer. It should include your board. It should include your students, your staff, parents, and community members. So all of the stakeholders, so that they can help you grow, but also understand why you're growing and support you in that growth. Then, the financial metrics of growth, right? You should never think about growing without having your 5-year plan. It may well change, but we should be looking at that to make sure that growth actually works within your long-term financial funding. We don't want you to use your ESSER funds in short haul to set you up for something that you can't maintain over the long haul. So let's make sure that we're looking at our financial metrics to support our growth. When you're considering what kind of growth and you're planning for your growth, in terms of, we've talked about it before in another video, the magic 450, which is the number I think schools in California need to aim for in order to have stability in their funding. Some states it can be more, some states it can be less. Depending on your educational model, it may be different, but the magic 450 is part of your plan. So figure out what your magic number is so that you can march to that. That will drive almost everything about your plan after your why, right? So if you figured out your why and then you figured out what your magic number is, and if you don't have one, I'm going to say 450 at least, then you can plan for your growth through your facilities, your enrollment marketing, certainly your financial plan, and as you're drafting your timeline. As you're planning your growth, as you're working on your financial metrics and you're moving through your timeline of growth, please remember that you should be planning for uncertainty. 2020 and the pandemic has taught us all that uncertainty can be very, very big. It can also be, state driven, like in California with the budgets and some of the potential compliance laws coming into case. You have to be prepared. There's a catchy sentence out there that is, for now, know what you don't know, right? Like, that there may be changes in California coming. So as you're planning for growth, make sure you're taking those into account. Again, this is just a really short primer on preparing for growth, determining if you should grow, and then how to put a plan together. Look forward to another video that talks very specifically about the plan, the written plan for growth. Thank you.